What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for week 3, where everything's free. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I got my guys Hoopster and Title here with me, ready to break it all down. Got the Jets, Patriots, Thursday Night Football. We're kicking off week 3. The chat, our guy Hebrew's in there, coming off a big 100K score. We got Marley going. We put that up off the top, but every time we bring those beats, we bring the 6-figure winners. We got these 100K scores, and we're hoping that week 3 is no different. We're going to kick it off. Hoopster, I'll go to you first. Got a kicker and D game tonight. Everybody says it's gotta be a kicker and defense showdown slate, but we'll get to that and more. What's going on, man? How's your week 3 starting off?
Yeah, that's what they say. My week 3 starting off a hell of a lot better with that beat, man. There's so much bass in that song. I thought my AirPods were going to blow up in my ear. I mean, that was that gets you moving a little bit. That was definitely solid. These tunes are what gets me going, not necessarily the week 3 football, but no, excited to regardless. I mean, yeah, you look at it on paper, it doesn't look like a fun game between the Jets and the Patriots. Low total. Jets basically 7-point favorites, but I mean, big prize pools across the industry. The goal is, it doesn't matter how ugly the game is, to find the path to the top. And like you said, in these showdown slates, our team has found the way to the top very frequently with our guy Big Marley, week 1 winning $100,000, and then obviously Hebrew Cheetah taking down $100,000. You absolutely love to see it too. Hardest working guys in this industry, just grind. They don't make excuses. Like, you don't hear them complaining about shit. They just get to work, get the job done. And they both paid it off in a big way on these showdown slates. One in week 1, one in week 2. Love to see it. And we're going to work hard and find our way into that winner's circle for week 3.
Yeah, excited to get back to it. Hopefully one of us. Title last year, this time was, I think you kicked it off with like 81K too to get the season rolling as well. So lots of big showdown hits across the board at SHIPIT Nation. We'll get more on that in a second, but Title, bring you in, man. Jets, Patriots. I know it's not the best, but these games can sometimes go one way or the other, and that's the benefit and the fun stuff about showdown, right? You're able to build for a script. Maybe you want to split your entries up tonight to sort of see how that happens, but I'm going to talk more about that when we get there. I think there's also ways you can build tonight regardless of over under to find your way around. How you doing, my friend? What's going on?
Yeah, doing well. I mean, this is the first primetime game this year that is like, ew, this is a gross one. We've had good ones, but for showdown, like you're talking, that could be good because at the end of the day, if Pop Douglas was the highest scorer in the game, like, would anyone be shocked? No, and that can lead to a lot of unique teams, 500K up top. No one really wants to play the quarterbacks. Like, how many games do you have both sides where it's like, man, I don't want to play quarterback captain. You can get away with no quarterback teams. That always adds an interesting dynamic. Under 40-point total. So, yeah, 5-1 Jets popping a decent amount, 4-2 Jets. So it's an interesting one. I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah,
we'll break it all down when we get there. So shut up the GK Pfeiffer. I mean, talk about just owning the barbershop, walking in, telling me you got to put this on. My boys are on. I was hitting up the barbershop today too, my friend. So it's a good day to get the job done, get a fresh outline. You're all set to go. So appreciate everybody joining us. Hit the like. What's that?
Looking clean. You're looking
fresh. Got to get it fresh. Going to the President's Cup in Montreal next week. So got it out of the way now. So can get focused and dialed in for that. That should be a fun week ahead. So
though, because my barber's same. He's very into like the fantasy stuff, the sports betting stuff, the survivor pools. So like this is my favorite time of year to get in there and get a fresh cut. I might go, a little more frequently because it's a good conversation to have.
Get an affiliate code, sign up to be an affiliate at SHIPIT Nation, get your code on a little business card and start handing them out at the barbershop. But speaking of that, Hoop, I want to get this up here quick. We talked about week three, where everything is free. That's the line, so you guys can check it out. But if you go to the site right now, ShipItNation.com, we'll get this out of the way quick and easy. All you do is sign up for any monthly, whether it's a monthly football or all access. You get to try out a week for free first. So use the code SDSHIP. It's a football monthly with Shiptimizer. I'd recommend if you want to try out our optimizer to see how it goes, start saving some money maybe against the competition or where you're at already. It's all going to be auto-synced with our projections ownership starting tonight for Showdown, or you can do the all access. Lots of other sports on the go upcoming. President's Cup next week, like I talked about for golf. There's always MMA, NASCAR, baseball still grinding. Shout out to all the shippers last night. The Discord was full. And our guy Mark F last night too, back to business. He won another 60K or something, 50, 60K. So big night for him. Shout out to Mark F. Another big one there. Hoop, anything to add on that? Anybody can go take advantage. That ends today, by the way. So I just let them know. And then I'm going to pull up the stone since everything's free this week anyway.
Yeah, definitely the time to give us a chance. Like if you're on the sidelines and you watch these shows, which we always say, we appreciate the YouTube community. I fully understand that paying for content is not for everyone. Like I get it. There's real life situations that are higher on the priority list than paying for DFS content. But this is an opportunity for you to check it out for free and see what it's all about. I mean, join our community for the week. All our content goes up nice and early, so you're able to get in there, work around your schedule. I know, a lot of people work the 9 to 5 and don't have time to necessarily sit and grind DFS research. Well, that's what we're here for. We get it up nice and early so you can absorb it at any time of the day, maybe at lunch break or whatever fits your schedule. So now's the time to give us that, give you that free trial and you can see what we're all about. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I do have the dry run up. Do you want to just, should I pull that?
Let's do it in 1 second. I just want to show one other thing too, because I think this is a key component. One is with the free membership as well. You can go to more education and you can literally download all of these courses in the MP3 format. So even if nothing else and you plan on not keeping it or whatever, take the education from us. Go in, get the education courses, download them, and work on your game. That's really what we're all about. When you're ready to join the community, that's kind of the way to go about it. And our guy Derek's back, the teacher. He was here last year with us quite a bit as well. Says making my students work and independent so I can listen in. One more shout out to Hoop. I got to bring this up, but we're on the Mail Media Network. Make sure you're subscribed here. You may be already, but make sure you go over to ShipIt Nation. We are so close now, just 600 away from giving away the free membership, right? Or sorry, only 60 away, 79.40. Sorry. Yeah. So I'm thinking bigger numbers, but 60 away from giving away the annual $299 membership with Shiptimizer, $299 package. So just go to ShipIt Nation on YouTube. A lot of people think they're subscribed, but they actually aren't. So go there. Check it out. And I'm going to bring up the stone. You got the dry run, Hoop. If they're asking what that means, anybody new watching in, Hoop is using Shiptimizer with our projections loaded in to just run 150 lineups with no extra settings targeted or anything like that, just to see what will be popular tonight. And then if you are signing up for the free membership, I'm under Showdown, the Stone. That's where you can see this tool. Again, it's free for everybody. So we'll show it off today just so they can see it. But it has everything covered, and it's the latest update. There will be a final update. We'll notify the Discord when it's up. Go ahead, Hoop.
Yep. All right. Got it up there. Good to go. All right. So no, not much of a surprise here, to be honest with you. When you start looking at projections, you start looking at numbers. This is the captain. So I just ran at 150. And again, this is part of my process. We're not just doing this for the show's sake. This is what I do every Showdown slate. I go in and I might come in and X out some guys I know that I'm not playing. There's guys in here that are projected for like 0.1 or something. I might just take those guys out before I do this. I didn't do it in this scenario, but none of them are showing as, plays that are popping up too frequently. So I have captain highlighted here. We're getting Breece Hall at a 40% rate. His projected ownership's 27. Kind of what you'd expect. Like he's going to be very popular in the captain spot tonight. There's just not many high ceiling, high upside guys. There's not many really, this is all based on projections. There's not many guys that are projected for a big number. So despite Breece Hall having the expensive price tag, he's still showing up here 40%. Next guy is Garrett Wilson, and he's showing up at 21%. Aaron Rodgers, 14. Ramondre is coming in at 9. It's going to be higher. His ownership's going to be higher than 9. This is just the dry run. The reason why he's probably only 9 is because it's getting Breece Hall a ton. Breece Hall is projected. Let's see. We have Breece Hall projected a little bit higher. Let me back out of here real quick. Our projection on, so it's like a 4-point difference between Stevenson and Breece Hall. So that's why you're seeing the big difference between those two. Just go ahead. I'm just going to rerun this just because I refreshed. I just wanted to make sure that nothing significantly changed. I don't think it did. So it's 60. All right, cancel that. We're not going to do the rerun. All right, so it changed a little bit. So it's Breece Hall 42, Garrett Wilson 18, Aaron Rodgers 15, Ramondre 12. Those 4 probably the highest. I'd imagine Aaron Rodgers comes down a little bit, and Ramondre probably bumps up a little bit. The main 3 are going to be Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Stevenson. Go to the flex, Garrett Wilson showing up a ton, Breece Hall. Demario Douglas, 47%. This Polk guy, 39%. Aaron Rodgers, 38. Conklin, 36. Antonio Gibson, 35. Osborne, 31. So there's a lot of uncomfortable plays, obviously, which we'll get to as we talk through the slate. But the main thing is captain. It's going to be those 3. They're showing up here in the dry run. If you go to flex, a lot of these cheaper guys are showing up at a pretty high rate, almost double what their projected ownership is. So kind of what you'd expect here, to be honest.
Yeah, Title, you got anything with that you want to add on? And then if you don't, you can start taking us into sort of some of the captains you're thinking about and what you're seeing. Hoop, I can probably just pull up the stone now so we can look at it there if it lets me. But let's see here. Just go back to it. Add this to stage. Yeah, should be good. Yeah. And go ahead, Title. Take over.
Yeah. So like I mentioned at the top, it's an interesting slate when we have under 40 total, 6-point spread, 2 teams that like to run the football. I mean, Jacoby Brissett obviously is not someone you want to drop back with 30 plus times if you don't need to. Stevenson's been an absolute workhorse running back to start the year. And on the other side, Rodgers' statue's the right word for him. I mean, he literally looks like hand the ball off to Breece, play action, get it to Garrett Wilson, nothing more than really a game manager. So that's why you're seeing Breece, Garrett Wilson, and Stevenson's captain ownership by far the highest, over 50%. Like those 3 combined could be 60, 65% in the captain spot. Rightfully so. I mean, minus 165, Breece to score. The next best plus 120, Stevenson plus 145, Wilson. Everyone else north of plus 300. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to be my highest owned captains for sure. But I do think you can get crazy at captain. Low scoring games. Hunter Henry last week absolutely dominated. The price tag 7,800 now, way up there. So he's ownership. You see 19 in the flex, 2.5 at captain. I mean, he can go out there if he replicates what he did last week. He could be on the captain. I want guys that I think can get 100 plus yards and a touchdown. So it's going to be skill position players. 2% Henry is someone that I'll take a little shot on. Pop Douglas, 4,200, and Polk, 4K. I think the most likely by far, Polk, the rookie, had a good game last week, was getting hyped up a little bit. He has a 100-plus yard upside touchdown. Demario Douglas was the number 1 receiver last year. Definitely coming off a 0 target or a 0 catch game, was complaining. Great price tag. I think he has 100-plus yards and a touchdown upside. Those 2 are definitely the other guys I'll be looking to get different at captain. But other than that, like I want my guys to get 15-plus, even if they're cheap at captain. Mike Williams is back in the mix, so that docks Lazard and Williams a little bit. Conklin's done nothing this year. So I really think it's Breece, Garrett Wilson on the Jet side, very concentrated. And then on the Patriots side, Stevenson's been a workhorse, but I think my secondary, really low-owned captains are going to come from that side, mainly Henry, Polk, and Douglas. And as you see, you get 3% of them. You're with the field or overweight, so it doesn't take much.
Yeah, Hoop, you have something to add. I know you did the dry run, but what's your actual take on it? Because this is showing, to Title's point, like even on our initial run, we know where the ownership's going at captain. It's Breece, it's Garrett Wilson, it's Ramondre Stevenson, and then it sort of drops off a cliff from there, and you can get different whatever way you want from that point. So how are you seeing it shaking out, starting things off at captain?
Yeah, it's clearly, those three. I mean, if you're going to bet money on who is the highest scoring fantasy player in this game, like it's probably the heavy favorites would be one of those three. Brees Hall would be the probably number one favorite, and then Ramondre and Garrett Wilson would be similar odds. The first thing that stands out if you're playing one of those three is like be willing to leave a lot of salary on the table. Like you just have to. And again, we talk about all the time. That question always gets brought up. Can I leave? You can always leave salary on the table for Showdown. But a game like this, it's almost you want to actively go that route. And then you're looking for high upside guys. Hunter Henry coming off a 12 target game. What are we showing his captain ownership at? You scroll up a little bit there.
2.5.
Yeah, that's like the guy that just got 12 targets showing up, 3%. I think that's a solid option. Mike Williams, flyer, played 60% of 60% of snaps last week. That's probably just going to go up even more this week. He's going to have big games. Aaron Rodgers definitely willing to take the shots. Imagine, if he gets the defense to jump off sides, which he's the best in the league, and he gets the opportunity just to throw a bomb, which he does better than any one of these scenarios, and it goes to Mike Williams, like he could do it. Odds are this is a low scoring showdown slate, so you can do some different things. But I mean, those three are going to be heavily involved in my process: Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, and Ramondre Stevenson. But I'll just be looking to do things a little bit different in those teams.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is, and it'll spoil the whole thing if we do it, because the chat now knows. The chat, by the way, did win the first time all season last game. They got it right. They got the side and the over-under. If I do my big spiel here and then ask, is the game going over-under? Everyone's going to say over and be like, oh, everyone's overthinking it, da-da-da-da-da. But I guarantee you, if we just ran it off the top, a poll, put it on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and put nothing, everybody would take the under. Everyone's talking shit. This game's going to suck. There's no way there's fantasy points, whatever. Maybe not, probably not. Don't care. Love this slate for Showdown. I'm way more fired up than the other night. I think one of the biggest things is these three captains being so condensed. The thing about the Jets is they're not even condensed at all. Mike Williams is back now. You got Brees Hall, you got Wilson, you got Lazard, who's been in the mix and already helping them. You've got Williams, you've got Conklin, kickers, defense. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I actually have love for Rodgers in the captain spot tonight because of that. A guy that spreads it out, may even run one if he gets down there in close. He's perfect leverage off of Brees Hall if he does do that. So Rodgers with two pass catchers, especially with these guys back, or flipping some of the pass catchers in, like a Mike Williams or a Conklin if you want to go a little bit cheaper. And then up top, I'm definitely popping some Douglas into my lineups. And this guy, Jalen Polk, no joke. I'm putting him in there too. So I like these two guys up top more than I like Ramondre and Henry. I like Rodgers, Williams, Conklin. I mean, if you're going here too, here's the other thing. Oh, kickers and D going to be way more popular tonight. They are. But guess where they're not popular? Up top. Guess where, whether it's a high, if it's a low scoring game, but you have high targets and, PPR points and that sort of stuff, fitting in like a Patriots or a Jets D and allowing you to stack all these fantasy points up down the middle. I personally love that. So yeah, I'm fired up for this one more than most. I think everyone just thinks they know exactly what's going to happen. When that happens, people don't know shit. They don't know anything, and it's the complete opposite. You couldn't ask for a better slate, and especially if you build in sets like I do, where you're going to build some for this and some for that. It doesn't mean I won't have these Brees Halls and Stevensons. I'm not riding both sides of the fence. I'm just saying I'll be severely underweight or at field to be able to make sure I can get these guys where even if Polk gets to 5% or, Henry gets to 4 or 5%, whatever, I'm still going to be fine. I'm going to be same or overweight and be able to get different there from that. So I just think the Jets side is, being said that it's Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson, and that's the whole game. That's just not true. Look at the board. There's definitely other guys, and Mike Williams more healthy now too. The Patriots, I forget that one corner is, and I'm not a big matchups guy, but I'm just saying there is a scenario where they just sort of force that in. If it is ugly, some of these other guys could just rack up those catches, or you could see where a guy like Polk or Douglas, even without Brissett, ends up in the mix at the top at the end of the game because of the other options that just rack up the fantasy points in between. So, Title, I'll kick it over to you first, but anything else you want to add just to those thoughts? I certainly have. That's a guy, Christian Gonzalez. Again, whatever he actually does, who knows? But my point is, because I'm not worried about that stuff, as you know, but if that just adds another bonus point in there that maybe it could be these other guys, if you're building with just 3 captains tonight, good luck. But I got a feeling there's going to be other guys in the mix.
Yeah, no, I love how you're on the same page with Pop Douglas and Polk, 2 guys that I think have slate breaking upside. The Rodgers stuff, I mean, you don't got to twist my arm. Anytime you're saying low own Rodgers and captain, like we're showing 8.5%, I bet you that's like 5%.
Yeah.
Like he has not showed. So 5, I mean, you're talking him up. Yeah, I'm in. Like I said, you don't got to twist my arm to play some A-Rod on a low scoring game. He does throw 3 touchdowns to 3 different players, and he's going to be low on. So I can see that. Other than that, no. I won't. Again, I'm not going to be playing. I'm not 150ing, but I'm not going to be playing kickers D. I think I'll play Pop Doug, get overweight on Pop, get overweight on Polk. I like Henry a little bit still at 2.5, 3, but maybe that 2.5 is like 4% after last.
Yeah, he's
but
fine.
Still, yeah, sure. Him. And then I will say I'm a little lower on Conklin, a little lower on Lazard. I like the Mike Williams today though in the captain. Like it feels like with Mike back in the rotation and Lazard now competing with another good player, like does he have that week 1 upside? I don't know. So I probably won't get there the captain, but I get it.
The other thing, Hoop, and I'll go to you on it, is just what was I going to say? The Josh Allen and James Cook. Like, remember that game where like you're doing the complete opposite of that now? If it's going to be this with Breece Hall, that would be the spot to go, because I think people are confused again too. They have a 22.5 point total. They could score 3 touchdowns where Aaron Rodgers throws 2 and sneaks 1 in, and he absolutely smashes, and it could still end up being a 21-14 shitty game. It's like, that's my point of that. So when you're seeing these type of deltas, we'll see how it actually shakes out at the end of the day when the ownership comes in, when the slate locks. But for me, I at least have some excitement in being able to go into the slate. What the results are, and people come back if Rodgers sucks, oh, you're an idiot, he sucked. I don't care. That's all the slates. We've been talking about this in Discord for 2 weeks now. It's a whole season. If you're playing Showdown for the entire season, 18 weeks, you're probably losing like 40 slates if you're doing it right, or more, because you're playing to win. At least what I'm doing, like trying to get like my guy Hebrew Cheetah the other night, my guy Marley last week, all the members that are having these big ships. It's you're trying to get there for all the money. So I'm gonna go down on this ship to find the rocket ship to the top. So that's just the way I look at it. But Hoop, I'll let you take over. Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, just another piece on the Jet side that got more involved last week was that Braylon Allen, 7 carries and I think 2 receptions, 4 targets. So like he was heavily involved. So that's another guy to add to the case for like a Rodgers captain, where if you play Rodgers captain, you want it spread out a lot of different ways. Allen 4 targets. So I don't hate the Rodgers captain, and I agree. I think it's probably closer to like the 5% number opposed to the 8 or 9. So very easy to get leverage on that sort of play. So that was the only other thing that I wanted to add. And a lot of times when everyone just thinks it's going to be an ugly, nasty game. I can't remember. What was it last year? It was like a Bears game or something, and it was just looked so gross, and everyone just automatically assumed it's going to be an ugly one and go way under, which could happen here. But a lot of times, man, on these island games, these games kind of just pop off in a weird way, and I wouldn't be.
I think it was Patriots.
Was it? Yeah. Was it Bears? I think it was Bears Patriots, or it was something super gross. It's like the lowest total of all. It wasn't like a 29 total, right? It was like a 29 or 30.
It was
total. Bad.
Oh, Patriots Steeler. It was something down there like that. Yeah. I know what you're talking.
The game went off, and it can happen. It can definitely happen. So, building as if this is a shootout, I don't think is the worst thing in the world.
And another thing too is, like I said on the last show, and it worked somewhat like that. You could still get away with it on this one for sure, though. Is you can build in a bunch of these just, the volume studs or whatever you want to call them. If you're putting in the Garrett Wilsons, Henry getting all those targets, if you think Polk's involved, if you get Stevenson in there, like if you could play no quarterbacks in some lineups as well and just land it. And on an under game, a severe under game, it could happen. On an over game, that could still be part of it as well. I'd get Rodgers into some of those over games though, for sure, because that's going to be, like I said, him probably throwing a couple touchdowns, running one in, maybe throwing 3 instead of running one in, whatever that might be. And yeah, go ahead. Whoever pulled this up.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah. No, I'm taking my victory lap. That's Patriots Steelers.
Thursday.
Steelers. 28 points scored in the first. 21-18 was the score.
Yeah,
that's a memory. Who come on over things that mean
solid.
absolutely nothing.
When I say I thought it was the Bears. Right, I had the Bears, and I couldn't remember the other teams. I
wish I remembered the stuff that actually mattered. This shit means literally.
I didn't
nothing,
even have one team right, but you knew what I was talking about. Though that's the important part. That's why we do these shows with the 2 and 3 man booth, so you can get each other's back. But wherever that kind of was. If you're playing the script that this is going to be a low-scoring game, I'm totally fine with Hall and Allen in the same lineups. Like, if it is an ugly, nasty game, 10, 11 fantasy points can be in the optimal. So Breece Hall goes off, gets his 20, 25. They have a big lead. Allen comes in and gets 10 or 11 in garbage time. If you can play the scenario out in your head, I think it's doable. How many of these teams I have, I don't know. But if you think it's a gross, ugly, low-scoring, grinded-out type game, that's where this sort of play is more viable.
Yeah, and we see Breece Hall here in our stuff. When we simulate it out with our projections, these salaries, this slate, we've got him in the captain optimal the most by a mile, and that makes sense. But that's what I'm saying is I can still get like 25%, 20%, play a decent chunk of them still, get them in different ways, feel good about it, and then be able to move it around. If you're playing this much of Breece Hall, me personally, I would want some of this Aaron Rodgers love, because if it's not going through Hall, it can definitely be a situation where it's spread out of shit. He threw a touchdown to Hall last week that was pretty insane catch, actually, from Breece Hall that would probably put, like I said, most wide receivers on blast. That was a nice catch from him. So, I mean, they can do it in a bunch of different ways here, but I just don't get that this side is just Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson anymore when it's just not the case. Like Hoop said, Allen, way more involved. Mike Williams, healthier. They have other dudes that they might mess around with just to mess around with Ruckert and some of these guys. Not much, but if they do, there's other guys there. I will say, at least from the point of Monday Night Football, Hoop, was it did not end up being right. I know you were talking about, like, we haven't needed the $200 guys and the cheap guys to get there, and obviously Britton Covey got the job done, so we did get to a slate like that. I do kind of flip back on this slate as much as getting uniques, and they'll be into the mix for me. It definitely feels like you could stop at the kicker, the defense, the Pokes, the Douglases, these guys. Like, it doesn't feel like you need a bunch. Maybe you get a Ruckert in there for 800. It's one or two guys, though. I just don't see it being a slate like that, high or low scoring. I think there's plenty of numbers that you can find here within these sort of mid-range guys. Anything else you want to add at the captain, Hoop?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There's just we'll get into a little bit more outside of captain, but there's just not a ton of super cheap playable guys on this slate. In terms of the captain, it's where a large majority of the ownership's going. It's very, very clear, and you can't really make the case against it. It's going to be Breece Hall up top. It's going to be Garrett Wilson. It's going to be Ramondre Stevenson, and that's probably going to be, 60 to 70% of the captain spot, like, filled up right there. So very easy to get leverage on anything else you want to do. And it's a slate where just, I don't think anything is too crazy in terms of roster construction and how you build out these teams. So it makes it way more interesting and exciting in terms of, how this could potentially play out.
Title, I was thinking about this for a second, but I like him a lot in flex, to be honest. Like, I definitely think at 3,600, interesting. I don't feel like he's a super punt. I mean, he's getting work. We've got him marked as high upside for a reason, especially if it's a lower scoring slate. It could be him coming through on dump offs or anything like that. But any thoughts on this one he asked about was Antonio Gibson captain.
Him and Braylon Allen, I mean, it's the game of football with like two starting running backs that get a lot of touches. We've seen injuries happen. You never want to play for an injury, but if you want to solo ship 500K, you have the out where if an injury did happen, you have a full RB1 that's going to get all the work, catch passes, very low owned, leverage off of something popular. And if Stevenson doesn't, Gibson's plus 400 to score. If he falls in twice somehow, catches 3-4 balls at that price, what it gets you, you still can get there. So, if you tell me 3% ownership for Gibson captain, you're building 20, 50 teams, you play one or two, I think that's totally fine. But yeah, I like him more. Definitely getting leverage.
I'm selling myself as we talk through it. We certainly like him in the flex here. I want to answer Drea's question. We do a FanDuel segment at the end. I know you're our FanDuel girl, and we love that and appreciate it, but FanDuel doesn't appreciate us. So that's the problem with them. And I'll tell you this, here's the easiest answer. The reason these leverage numbers would usually be pretty good on FanDuel, even though they're not for FanDuel, is because FanDuel, you have $10,000 extra dollars. But again, you'll have to compare the pricing and look at it. Just do some math on it if you want. in the back end. Like if you're seeing, who did we see the other day? It was someone crazy that was like 2,400 on DraftKings, but $7,000 on FanDuel. If you're finding that, then yeah, maybe not the case, because there was legitimate solid flex options on DraftKings that were almost the same price on FanDuel, but you would have to sort of cross-reference it that way to get an idea of pricing on both sites. Like Hunter Henry, 7,800 on DraftKings, 11K on FanDuel. If that Antonio Gibson price is right, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. That's insane, right? Like when you can just get another guy, got whatever the targets he's been getting and all that stuff. So you do got to do some cross-referencing, but that's the value of the stone. It's right there in front of you where you can keep it on one page. Again, it's free. If you guys want to go sign up, just going to put this up because it does end tonight at midnight. We're not messing around. It was a 48-hour flash trial. It's simple. SD ship at shipitnation.com. You can check all this stuff out and more for free. So, all right, Hoop, let's go to quarterback. Brissett has not been talked about at all. I already did a rant on Aaron Rodgers. I think we know where we're at on him and the capability. But thoughts on Jacoby Brissett? Doesn't sound like there's any love for him at all, but he'll still be somewhat owned.
Yeah, I mean, zero interest obviously in the captain spot for me, but in the flex, yeah, totally fine. I mean, showing 30% ownership. Quarterback, he's going to be on the field. Basically, he's going to be on the field every offensive play for an offense. 30% owned. I'll be overweight on him in the flex and feel pretty good about it. Aaron Rodgers, I feel like we're all kind of on the same page in regards to Aaron Rodgers. Definitely good with him in the captain, like we talked about, and then clearly a very strong flex play as well. So nothing too crazy here. I mean, for me personally, I'll be over on the Brissett 30% if that's the real number. Yeah,
we'll get the real numbers closer to lock. Our guy Caddy said, could have sworn I saw a SHIPIT t-shirt in the Ironman coming up Maryland, and this week he does a lot of these big marathon runs and stuff like that. We've sent him some gear. He's been rocking it, but he said even during Ironmans, we have gambling on our mind. Not just a brand name, Caddy. It's a lifestyle. So you can ship anything, right? You can ship the card game against your 80-year-old granny in the wheelchair if you want. There you go, Hoop. We'll bring it back for you one time. But you can ship anything, right? People ask me what that means. I say anything you can win, you can ship it, right? So, Title, any other thoughts you want to add at quarterback? I know we hit up on Rodgers pretty hard already, but Jacoby Brissett or anything else there? And then you could take us into running back as well.
Yeah, well, I've been playing a decent amount of poker the past couple months, and man, all I hear, at least once at the casino, and it's probably 4 or 5 times, you hear something do the casino, ship it.
We got you a special hat too. You can rock the hat.
I've worn it a couple times, but then people, every pot, they'll just be yelling, ship it.
Yeah,
it's annoying. So, but no, I do remember Brick on Lowell's with Hoop too. He had the story where every time you hear ship it, it was one guy. So that made me laugh. But quarterback wise, to be honest, ownership, that 5% Brissett, I hope he gets there and captain. Like his passing prop, 164.5, awful. Half a touchdown, minus 155 on the over. Like he throws one touchdown for 200 yards, which is over his props. He's still not getting there. So even flex, to be honest, if I got 10% Brissett, I'd be chilling. If I got 35%, I'd be fine there. So no hot take on Brissett. They're going to want to pound the football and bleed the clock. Rodgers, you talk me into some captain. The flex, I'll be playing them. Running back, I mean, it's easy. You have 2 workhorses. Stevenson's role this year has been phenomenal, even better than I expected. I thought it would be more of a timeshare. Stevenson, Brees, they're getting the ownership, though. No, nothing crazy, I'm saying. Gibson, Braylon Allen, 2 good RB2s. If somehow Stevenson or Brees go down, if they went down in the first, they'd be favored. The Jordan Mason in week 1, they'd be favored to probably be captain optimal at that ownership. So they have upside in any injury. Without an injury, plus 350 for Allen to score, plus 400 for Gibson. Both can catch some out of the backfield. They're in the goal line. We've seen Allen score. So those are 2 guys. And I'm not going to make a rule to separate them because people will make that rule. And that's just more of a way to, if they do get there somehow, both score a touchdown, a low scoring game. That's how you can solo ship 500K. Not solo our man, Big Marley and Hebrew, but when they got the cheese, they got it with a lot less people than most. So that's the plan, you play as well. So yeah, shout out to them. Awesome stuff, Rio.
Yeah, I like that call, and that's what we're looking to do tonight. It's a pretty good drop off. I think it's 500K, 100, and then $10 feels like it anyway. So it's you're definitely playing for the top tonight. I never understand it, but yeah, shout out to Kevlar. Kevlar in the in the Discord.
PLO.
Nice. There. He was making a bunch of money playing poker over the summer. He was telling me, so he said, I won't stop playing until they learn how, because Yanni said, and a lot of people don't know how to play PLO. So he's out there in the pot limit Omaha games and, shipping it. That's what we love to see. Like I said, it's a lifestyle. Hoop, anything more on the running backs you want to add? I know you already talked a little bit earlier about the Hall Allen stuff. Gibson, we talked a little bit about. Just anything more you want to add on either side, and then you could take us into the wide receivers.
It's very clear position. Like Title said, you have two workhorse backs essentially in Hall and Stevenson, and then their backups get solid work. Allen, we saw, I believe it was 9 touches last week. That's great for a backup running back. And then Gibson got like 11 carries. And, Gibson's typically a guy that we view as like a pass catching back. We haven't seen it yet this year, but at some point he's going to catch like 4 or 5 balls. Could be tonight. So I like him, and I like not setting that rule that a lot of people are going to set. A lot of people are going to say, if I have Breece Hall, I don't want Allen. I don't necessarily want to make that sort of rule. I think there are game scripts where these guys can get it done together, specifically lower scoring games where 10 or 11 fantasy points is enough to be on optimal. So very clear position. And the main point for me, though, is I won't be making that rule.
Total's gone up too. I know someone like Takedown's making a prediction. I think the total went up from like 36 or something already, and it's up. I've seen it as high as 38.5. So others are somewhat agreeing, at least betting it up. What ends up actually happening, I don't know. But I mean, it certainly looks like there's a capability for it. And again, the whole chat just keeps talking about it's, there's only 3 captains you can play on the slate. Got to play at least 3 kickers and defenses. Like, everyone just writes it off no matter what. And that's the slates I love. So I don't have much to add on running back, Hoop, but I'll let you start on these wide receivers. I just think there's a lot of angles to attack beyond just Garrett Wilson and stopping there.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson is obviously the clear play. We already talked about him in the captain spot. He's probably the second or third highest owned captain. He's going to be owned a bunch in the flex spot. He is, a great play on the slate at 10-2, but there's obviously other guys to consider. I just wanted to pull up one thing on Garrett
Was that the
Wilson.
one you were thinking of? Because he's pulling the other game now that you said was Chicago.
No. So 17 targets, like 11 targets week 1, 6 targets week 2. Is he a slam dunk play? I don't think he is. Like, I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of ups and downs with him in this offense just because of the immobility, I guess, of Aaron Rodgers. Like, he can't freaking move all that much. So I don't know. Like, I could potentially go like underweight on a Garrett Wilson, to be honest with you. Allen Lazard, fine play. Like, I don't necessarily love the Allen Lazard play. I do like the Mike Williams play. He barely played week 1. He got up to 60% of snaps in week 2. And you have to imagine that it's going to go up in week 3. So he's going to be on the field the majority of offensive snaps. He has big play outside. Aaron Rodgers is willing to take the shots. Like, he is. We've seen it all throughout his career. He's now like 40 years old. He's going to continue to take the shots. He's the best in probably ever in terms of getting the defense to jump offside and get the free play. If he gets a free play, it's probably a bomb, a shot to Mike Williams. Mike Williams is probably the guy that gets the opportunity. It was Allen Lazard in week 1. That's why he had the big week. If he gets him to jump, he's going to throw it up to Mike Williams tonight. So I really like Mike Williams as a play, even in captain. It could happen twice. You get 2 deep bombs and you just need Mike Williams. So I do like Mike Williams in captain and in flex, especially if you're doing Aaron Rodgers captain teams. He's a perfect complement to Aaron Rodgers captain team where he gets the 1 bomb. Obviously, if he gets 2, you're going to need Mike Williams to be in captain, but 1 bomb to Mike Williams, then Aaron Rodgers throws it to other guys. Perfect complement to Aaron Rodgers captain team. I don't have as much interest as you guys do in the Patriots pass catchers in captain, but I do like them in flex. Douglas and Polk, I think, are fine options. Osborne as well, all very cheap, 4,200 and below. Douglas is 42, Polk is 4K, and then Osborne is all the way down to 32. Thornton at 1,600, you could potentially throw in the mix, and that's kind of the end of it. Like, Xavier Gibson is now kind of like out of the picture with Mike Williams playing more. He was a guy that we kind of viewed as a high upside dude, but at 2K, I'll probably pass on him. So it's really just the main guys. Good with Garrett Wilson in both, but like I said, I could end up taking a underweight approach on Garrett Wilson. Lazard, sure, whatever I get of Lazard is fine. But Mike Williams, I will make a point of getting him into my lineups tonight. And then all the Patriots pass catchers, I'm fine playing with them, but it's mostly going to be flex plays for me.
Remember Money Making Mooney on Monday? That was the one, and he took us to the moon there. I think it could be Money Making Mike, and then someone said, "Hey, that's Hoop's nickname." Our guy Rob is in there.
I'll take that.
Money Making Mike. But this is another thing too that I thought of. If you remember last year, the Jets. He's just talking about Williams' snap percentage, and obviously it went up in week 2. But I'm pretty sure they did the same with Breece Hall last year. Like, remember they started him super slow, and then they just ramped his ass right up as soon as he was ready. Yeah. So maybe that's what we see this week, and we get Mike Williams more involved. So I could see that, and I like your call. That was my Rodgers take, is if it's just one bomb to Mike Williams, that's perfect for Rodgers. He could get a few yards on the ground. He could end up sneaking one in. He could throw another one to a random like a Conklin or somebody else. But the point would be, if it's 2 bombs, it turns into like Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, what if we get the 2 Mike Williams bombs in the first quarter? And it's like, okay, a lot of people probably closing the laptop unless they're lining up
pants are off.
Money
Everyone
making
else in Hoop's pants are off because he's cheering for that.
Yes,
we'll be having that one. So I want to see what happens here tonight, but I'm getting a good feel for it as we go along. So anything else, Title, you want to add at the wide receiver stuff? You and I talked earlier about Pop Douglas and Polk and these guys, but anything else that you want to talk about at wide receiver?
Yeah, I like it because it's clearly 7 guys. You have 4 on the Patriots, Polk, Osborne, Thornton all mixing in, Douglas in the slot. The Jets, now with Mike Williams ramped up, Xavier Gibson and Corley are pretty much non-factors. So you have Wilson, Lazard, Williams. So my player pool will be 7. And then you see Garrett Wilson at 44%. Outside of him, Pop Douglas, the next highest at 20, 18, 16, 19, 16, 11. All of those are, like, as you mentioned earlier, I think this is the best talking point. All of those prices, ownership, and then kickers and D. Why mess with Javon Baker? Why mess with Ruckert? We'll get there. Like, he actually is on the field and runs some routes. So sure, Austin Hooper as well. But I still like these wide receivers that we just talked about more than Hooper and Ruckert for a little more because, I mean, these guys are going to be on the field. It takes one catch for 50 yards and a touchdown, and the slate's more than likely broken, and one of them's on the optimal. So if you're playing Rodgers captain, probably we'll have at least 2 or 3 of Lazard, Mike, Wilson, add Conklin. I'm not going to play Brissett captains, but there's a lot of people are running 5-1 Jets, 4-2 Jets heavy. A way to go 4-2 Patriots, play 2 of these receivers, play Gibson, Stevenson, something like that. So, yeah, at all their ownerships, I'm going to be playing those 7. If I had to rank them, we talked about Pop we like. I'm playing Garrett Wilson. I like Polk. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I like Mike Williams upside more than I like Lazard's today as well.
Yeah, I think that's how I'm looking at it too. Like, for sure, that side. I'm looking more at like the 4, and then the other will all fit in, right? Like, I don't like Lazard as much as I like these 2. I don't like the lower end as much as I like these 2. I like Henry more than Hooper, and honestly, it's not that crazy. It's not, again, you do get a heavy price break, but I'm just saying the ownership across the board at some of these positions, 800 versus 2,800, 6 to 16, if it even gets there. Like, it's just not, you can get leverage in the flex easily on all these spots.
We got the Hebrew little nugget. The guy's hot, coming off 100K. He likes Mr. Thornton.
And a Pats fan to double dip right there. Patriots fan and that. So
I was with him when we went to Chicago with him and his dad and his brother, and these guys were battling pretty hard for this guy right here, Jalen Polk or whatever his name is, and he came out. So I don't know, but if we get Hebrew Cheetah on the Hebrew Hita, which he's been pretty good this season, it's like I said the other day, you got to keep watching for him. His name is constantly up there. Maybe we take that Tyquan Thornton call, but I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where I would fit into more of these three than I am trying to force Gibson or Corley or Baker or any of the others. So I just think that's what sets it up. So tight end, Hoop, you want to take it over? We got Henry and Hooper on one side. We got Conklin and Ruckert on the other. Anything you have to add there?
Like the Henry play. I think we talked about him in the captain segment. I think we're all kind of on the same page. I mean, 12 targets for him. Definitely like him as a play, especially in like a trailing game script. If you think the Jets win and you're building a team in which a Jets heavy team, I think Henry's a perfect guy to include on those Jets heavy teams. A lot of dump offs. He has the touchdown upside, a guy that can get there in a variety of different game scripts, but I do like him in the trailing one. So good with him in captain or flex. And honestly, the 7,800 price tag is somewhat high, and that, people might look to not pay that and drop down a little bit. I want to embrace that for sure. The ownership's not looking all that. I mean, the guy just got 12 targets, right? We're talking a 1-game showdown slate. You assume coming off a 12-target game that he's going to be a popular play, but I really do think it's the price tag kind of keeping him in check at this sub 20% ownership number. So I'm very interested. What's his captain owner? Yeah, 2-3%. Henry's a great play on the slate. The other tight ends, not super excited about. Conklin just really hasn't been involved, and I think the reason is these running backs. I mean, a lot of the work that a tight end would get goes to Breece Hall. Now it's going to go to Braylon Allen, these little drop-off things, the middle of the field stuff. Like, they're using the running backs more than the tight end. So I'm not overly excited with Conklin. He'll remain in my player pool. Probably not going to have a ton. And then Hooper and Rucker, if I have to work in some cheaper guys, sure, but I'm just not excited really with either of those plays, to be honest. In terms of tight ends, it's all about Henry for me.
Calcaterra right here, Ruckert, man. He started the game so hot and then just failed completely, but a guy that's actually out there that you could see get some catches early and then just wonder if it's needed. Probably not. So I'd bring that up. And then I know Zim was talking to Hebrew, who answered this question, but this is just another prime example of showdown in a nutshell. It's $4,000 versus $1,600. Build your best poke lineup and just take them out and put Thornton in and hope that Thornton catches more balls or more valuable catches that end up working out to more fantasy points. You're naturally more unique just by leaving that money on the table. And I don't think anyone can sit here and clearly say, I know our numbers have it that way, but numbers are numbers for a reason. That can happen in a heartbeat in that game where it ends up being that Thornton takes out Polk, and that's what you needed to have it set up for. So I don't think there's anything against doing stuff like that when you're building out your lineups. If it's, a 5-1 build and you do that, it's even more unique. Like, there's just other things that you can do within it. We try and cover it all and more over on the site. You do get all this included. We'll have the player pool that Hoop does, the slate plan that I do. The core report has our guy Scarface and Title on there with Hoop and I, Hebrew, Nades, the rest of the crews in Discord posting their stuff. And then the Stone is what we're looking at right now with all the projections and everything built into Shiptimizer. So all that this week, ended today, actually. It ends tonight. You can get it for free. Go to shipitnation.com, use the code SDSHIP, get yourself signed up. Title, I'll go to you, man. Anything you want to talk about with kickers and D? We started out the show hot when it came to that. everybody says you need 3 of them. We're just sort of making the joke at this point, but anything you want to add on these kickers and defenses?
Well, first I want to add on something. Shipit Nation, obviously with the price, the content, the Stone, everything we've added, there's no better place. But the Discord, and not only the community, shout out Rio. There's a reason he won. A beat writer, 30 minutes before lock, 25 minutes before lock during warmups. Britton Covey's with Devontae Smith and the starters. I didn't have any Covey hardly. I know, Tambo, you went back in to your player pool. I had 28%. He was 3% owned. By far the best play on the slate. Rio dropped that nugget in Discord. I saw plenty of other people reworking their lineups. I wish I trusted it more. Imagine, I bumped Paris Campbell way down. I bumped Johnny Wilson way down. I got a lot more Covey from that one piece of information that looked reliable. Rio in the Discord got him $101,000. Got other members stuff. I fell a little short there, but just awesome stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's by far, and I'll give you two a lot of props. I mean, it's easy to let your Discord go away when the members keep growing. We see it at plenty of different sites. Toxic community, you don't want to be in there. It's unbelievable we have there. Definitely you two should take pride in that. But shout out Rio, the Covey call, seeing that definitely helped me out. Another piece of it's part of our community. It's content. That is, I think, better than any one piece of content that you click on. The Discord is better, but it all works together. So as far as tight ends, yeah, I owe that beat report in my life. Yeah, I mean, that's the stuff. So great stuff, Rio. Tight ends, I really got nothing to add. I'm playing Rucker and Hooper because they're cheap. They can be the Coveys of the world on the solo shipper, 1 touchdown. It's not a fun click by any means. I prefer the receivers. Henry, we talked about at great length. Overspend. I do probably think he gets a little steam from our projected ownership, but still nothing crazy. And then Conklin, I don't know. His routes are all 2 yards down the field. It's Rodgers' 4th option and just a check down because he can't move. I don't know. He can fall in the box, but I don't love Conklin.
Anything on kickers and D? And I will make note what you said there too. This will be updated soon, and then we do a final and everything comes out. So the Discord, speaking of that, will be notified when it happens. The community will get the update there. And if you're not in the Discord, you should be. But if you're not, you just go on here. You'll be able to see when it was updated to keep you in check. I'm with you. I think we could see Henry steam up there 25, 26. It's going to change. But either way, anything you want to add with kickers and defenses? Like I said, that's how we sort of started the show.
They all look in check. 18% in the flex for Sly, 21 for Zerline, 16 for Pat's D, 20% for Jets defense. Jets D's expensive, 5,400. Like, that is the first thing that stands out. But I mean, talk about statues. Brissett, the team's if they get behind, the spread at 6.5 for a team that really wants to pound the football. If Jets can get up 20, 14-0 at half, get another touchdown, and make Brissett drop back a lot, I mean, Jets D is going to be licking their chops. So, yeah, all of that at ownership, it's a good slate. The more you talk about it, for sure, clear 7 receivers, clear 4 running backs. People don't want to play QBs. Ownership at these kickers, D's in check. Like, there's so many combinations you can go. So, no strong lean. I'm going to be playing the Greg the Leg, 55 yards, 60 yards. I mean, you could see a Moody performance. Yeah, this slate's good, Tambo. You're right.
Yeah, that's a very good slate. I always tell you guys like it is. If it's a terrible slate, I tell you I'll still try and bring some passion and energy to the show, but I'll be honest about what I feel about the slate. I know this is a good slate. I love this slate. So whether it works out or not, we go to battle every slate and see if we can make it happen and ship. But you got to play these good slates if you feel good about them. That's another thing we talk about all the time. Don't just play the same $50 every slate. If you have the money to put in and this is a slate you like, ramp it up a little, because there's going to be slates you hate or don't like or aren't around for or whatever it might be. I'm here. I'm playing this one. I'm definitely investing in this slate. I love this slate. I think it's a good opportunity to get a leg up, so I'm going to be playing it pretty heavy. So, yeah, I don't have anything else to add on the D and kicker hoop. One thing that got brought up like 3 times in chat, and I'm like having a flashback. Our guy, NYG fan, Dwayne, he's always the man. I feel like it was on who's the guy that the Chargers poked with the needle wrong? What was his name again? The quarterback.
Oh, shit.
Tyrod Taylor?
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
I feel like Jacoby Brissett is another quarterback that fits the mold of quarterbacks that always get injured early in the game and then the backup comes in, or the Jets D are just pounding them and they're like, all right, let's bring May in here to give him a few shots. Is there any chance this is the backup quarterback slate that you get May involved? What do you think, Hoop? That he's been brought up like 3 times in the chat.
No, I'm not playing a backup quarterback. But yeah, people do love. That's another talking point that people love for Showdown, the backup quarterback, because obviously if you play it and it hits, like, you have no competition. Like, you can work your way up quick, but no, that's definitely not for Hoopster.
Yeah, it's also funny. I think it's only happened like once or twice. I know Mariota. One slate, someone played and plugged him in, and he actually got like a whole 3 quarters and did well, so he ended up being involved. It's almost like you got to use him at the captain if you do it. You got to just hope that they come in and are the guy or something. It's just insane, but it would be for the full shot. I'm not doing it, but I just brought it up because talking defenses. Hoop, you got anything you want to add on defenses and kickers? You've been talking about them all season, but this is certainly a slate where we're finally going to see some ownership go that way. And so for me, that's another leverage point on the slate, is like I can just avoid that heavily. And, in sets, if you got 2 sets, especially, one can be around using them, one can be off them. But yeah, I just think that's another talking point for sure.
So at first glance, just looking at the game, thinking about the game, you assume a lot of people are going to want to play kickers and defense, and they will. They're going to want to, but there's so many guys priced right in that same region that it's going to keep the ownership in check on kickers and defenses. You have all those wide receivers. You have the backup running backs now. They're all those Patriots wide receivers, both backup running backs, they're all priced right around there. So it's just going to get spread out, which will leave the ownership on kicker and defense in check tonight. And I'm interested in all 4.
I think we're getting the highest ever. I disagree fully. I think the thing is there's only 3 guys on this slate people think you got to play. They're Ramondre, Brees, and Wilson. And it forces you into that, and everybody assumes low scoring. I think these numbers are right. 21, 21, 19, 17. Those are by far the highest numbers we've seen besides like a Moody or something in the San Francisco game. So I think they're going to get hammered tonight.
I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying the reason they're not higher is because of all those guys. Because this is a slate where in the past we've seen Jets defense could get up to like 40% or something crazy. The reason they're staying low 20s is because there's so many guys. I don't think it's going to come lower than this. I think these numbers are accurate. I think they're all going to be between like 18 and 25% because of all those other guys in in that.
Just not getting out of hand, you're saying.
Not getting out of hand for that reason. There's just so many guys priced right around there that are going to be played. Like people are going to play the backup running backs. People are going to play all those wide receivers priced around there. They're going to play the tight end. They're going to play like the Conklins of the world. So it's going to keep it in check, but right around these numbers. Like I said, if without those guys, I think kickers and defenses would be much higher owned on the slate.
Yeah, gotcha. Anything else you want to bring up there? If not, you can take us into the FanDuel side of things. We've sort of hammered everything else out, I think. I feel pretty good about this slate where we're at right now, but anything on the FanDuel side, our girl Drea was asking about it earlier. Anything else you see there that you want to go to?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the MVP spot, it's going to be Brees and Stevenson. Then probably Rodgers definitely gets more on FanDuel versus DraftKings in terms of the MVP ownership, just because how the scoring works over there. Brissett at 12.5, I think, is a cheap price. Get a starting quarterback for $12,500. That's typically lower than we see. Antonio Gibson, I don't know where the hell they got the price tag of 11.5 for. I mean, like it doesn't even.
They know something we don't know if that's accurate. My phone's on the charger because I got a new phone today. Is that actually right? That he's $1,000 less than Jacoby Brissett, who I don't like, but I just don't understand it.
Yeah. The backup running back is $1,000 than
quarterback pricing.
Yeah,
Braylon Allen's 10K.
And then that was the next thing I was going to say. Braylon Allen, the other backup running back, is 10,000, and that's tough too because he probably needs to find the end zone at 10K, which he definitely can. But on DraftKings, he doesn't need to find the end zone. Like he can rack up 4 or 5 catches and get you 40 or 50 yards, and you're good with that. But he definitely needs to probably find the end zone at 10K. So where we love the backup running backs on DK. They're kind of the prices on FanDuel are very, very difficult. And Alan Lazard at 9,500. That's another like price tag that I don't love. I mean, I don't really want to pay 95 for Alan Lazard. Another situation where he needs to probably find the end zone. I'd much rather go to Mike Williams at 9K, which we've talked about in length. I think he's a fine play. Then the kickers and defenses between 9K and 8,500. We have Conklin at 8K, Polk 8K, Douglas 7,500, Osborne 7,500, Thornton 7K. So all those cheap wide receivers that we talked about on DK, they're basically between 8 and 7K on FanDuel. But the story of FanDuel, definitely Brissett at 12.5. The backup running backs priced up for some odd reason. And yeah, it's kind of where we're at over there.
Yeah, it's very clear. The FD stands for fantastic drugs. They've got very good ones over there to come up with some of these pricing because this is just nuts. I can't believe it's $1,000 less, a 10 grand for Allen. Like this pricing is horrible. I know our ownership is going to get updated for the MVP. It's not quite accurate. Like obviously I think the quarterbacks get boosted no matter what over there. That will take away. I don't think Breece Hall quite gets to that number. I think Ramondre eats into that too. So we'll have the final update on the site, but man, that pricing is a whirlwind. Maybe it makes it a little bit more exciting over there tonight, but I really like what's going on DraftKings and where the ownership is headed. So yeah, ultra safety meetings going on over at FD. Yeah, they got the good stuff over there. Title, any final thoughts for you, man, before we get out of here? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, G Rising hooks them up, that's for sure. FanDuel, I mean, who's way overpriced? The backup running backs. If you want to win on the hardest site to win solo, you play the backup running back. So the overspend, expect to lose all your money, but that is a way to ship with very, very, very little people, which is always hard to do on FanDuel. Nothing really much to add over there, though. Hoop mentioned it well. Yeah, it's a good slate. It's definitely a very fun slate. People don't want to play quarterbacks. 4 clear running backs on the slate, 7 clear receivers, can play both 4 tight ends. Like it's easy to narrow out the pool for me, which is always nice. It's easy to leave a lot of money. A lot of people are jamming Jets. If you want to get different right away, 4-2 Patriots. So plenty of ways to get different, plenty of salary to be left, plenty of options. Yeah, cash show in 15 minutes. Hoop and I will be going right from this.
That's a perfect segue for me before I give Hoop the final thoughts. If you go here right now, just jump over from this channel, like this video, subscribe to this video. We're going to be back here every Thursday doing this show. Our main shows are over for Monday Night Football and main slate are on the Ship It Nation YouTube station with all of our other shows. As you can see, we don't stop. We put in the work, but just breaking it down, only 60 or less subscribers away from getting to 8,000, where we give away a $299 annual membership for football plus Shiptimizer for NFL. And then also when we get to 10K, it's going to be a massive giveaway. You guys know SHIPIT Nation is the home of the giveaway. That's what's going to happen. We got to get to 10K during this NFL season. So keep firing it up. A lot of people think they're subscribed, but they actually just have it in their recent plays or whatever it might be. You do actually have to go and subscribe to the channel. It certainly helps a ton. Just want to make sure you guys get set up there. And then lastly, just over to the site, if you go to SHIPIT Nation, use SD Ship. All you do, it's very simple. You go to Join the Nation, go to one of the monthly packages, whether it's all access or football only with Shiptimizer to be able to give yourself a trial at it. Do that. You get a free week trial on us. Hoop, final thoughts before we get out of here.
Yeah, if you are already a member over at SHIPIT Nation, appreciate all your support. Our content will be going up soon. If you're not a member, now's the time to get in. SD Ship gets you a free trial to test us out. We know that you'll love it, and we welcome you to join our community. So come on over, SD Ship, give us a try, and good luck to everyone out there. And let's get those SHIPIT Nation logos to the top. They've been getting to the top of these showdown sites. I have a feeling we're going to see it again here tonight.
Yeah, it should be a good one, guys. Super excited. I'll have everything up on the site for my slate plan. Hoop will have his up for the player pool. We'll get the core report up with all of us, Title and Scarface. The Stone will get updated, the projections. We'll be chopping it up in the Discord. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel. Give it a follow and stick in and stay tuned for the cash show up next. That's going to do it for this one. For Hoop, for Title, and for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it!